All right, and we are back here on the GSMC football podcast. And for the final part of the show, I can't believe show flew by today. For the final part of the show, it always flies by. We'll take a look back at Super Bowl 54. And here's the other thing. So I did, when the Packers and the 49ers played against each other, I talked about their previous playoff matchups. And then I got a comment saying like, "Oh, what's the point of doing this? These are different teams." I get it, but it's just looking back on the history between the teams. So I'm doing the same thing here. I'm looking back at because again, we got still a couple days left this week, and then we got the whole week next week. So and it's just one game to talk about. So there's things to touch upon, and this is one of them. So obviously, again, these teams met each other, Super Bowl 54. Down in Miami, again, before the pandemic. Now, again, Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback for this game. The 49ers, they were the 1 seed. The Chiefs were actually the Chiefs were the 2 seed. Yeah, the Chiefs were the 2 seed that year, right, because we talked about the Ravens having the 1 seed earlier in the show. But, of course, they hosted the AFC Championship game. I mean, those playoffs were insane. Well, at least the 2 playoff games, the 2 comeback wins for the Chiefs. Well, 3 including this one. When the Chiefs were down 24 to nothing against the Texans, and then they came back and won that. The final score was 51-31, I think it was. And then they were down 10 against the Titans, and they came back and won that game. And they were down 10, in the fourth quarter against the 49ers, and they came back. They ended up winning 31-20. Yeah, I mean, the 49ers in this game, they did a good job, limiting Mahomes for the most part. But then, he took over in the fourth quarter. Because, I mean, and listen, the 49ers have a lot of the players from that Super Bowl are on this team, currently. But yeah, they did a good job. I mean, again, they had a 10-point lead. And I think Mahomes threw how many? Didn't he have 2 picks in the game? I think he had 2. Let's look at his stats for the game. So Mahomes had 2 picks. Garoppolo also had 2 picks in the game as well. Mahomes went 26 of 42, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, was sacked 4 times. Damian Williams was their leading rusher, 104 yards rushing and a touchdown. Patrick Mahomes had a rushing touchdown. I think that was the first touchdown of the game for the Chiefs. Tyreek Hill was their leading receiver. He had 9 receptions for 105 yards. Sammy Watkins had 5 for 98. Travis Kelce, 6 for 43 and a touchdown. Damian Williams had 4 for 29 and a touchdown. How many sacks did Garoppolo? Oh, wow. They only sacked him 1 time? Interesting. Then on the 49ers side, Jimmy Garoppolo, he went 20 of 31. 219 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Raheem Mostert had 58 yards rushing on the ground, and a touchdown. Coming off of that 200 rushing yard performance against the Packers just 2 weeks before that. Deebo Samuel had 3 carries for 53 yards. Their leading receiver in this game was Kendrick Bourne, 2 receptions for 42 yards. Kyle Juszczyk was their second leading receiver. He had 3 receptions for 39 yards and a touchdown. And then how many sacks did the Niners get? Niners got 4 sacks. Oh, yeah, I talked about that already. DeForest Buckner had a sack and a half. Jaquiski Tart had a sack. Nick Bosa had a sack. Earl Mitchell had half a sack. I'll be honest, I don't know who Earl Mitchell is. I know Elijah Mitchell, who will be playing, next Sunday, but not him. Travarius Moore and Fred Warner both had picks. Yeah, because Mahomes' second pick, it looked like it was a wrap. But, that was not the case. The Chiefs, they put together some quick scoring drives. Yeah, because you go to, so when was his Mahomes' second interception? So, yeah, this came with, there's 12 minutes left. I mean, there was still time, but you thought, that wasn't good. Then the 49ers punted, and then the Chiefs went 10 plays, 83 yards. Of course, the big play was, the 44-yard pass play to Tyreek Hill, the wasp play They reposted that. I think it was yesterday. Listening to the audio of that because he was talking to Mahomes was talking to Bieniemy. He's like, "Do we have time to run Wasp?" And they did that. And then Fred Warner was telling Jimmy Ward to play the middle of the field. Tyreek Hill is wide open. I know there was some comments saying that they missed a holding call on Nick Bosa, but and ended up not getting called. And that obviously set up the touchdown drive, the touchdown to Travis Kelce, a 1-yard touchdown. So that made it a 3-point game. Niners punted, and then the Chiefs went down the field. 7 plays, 65 yards. Was also set up by that 38-yard reception by Sammy Watkins. Damian Williams scored the touchdown from 5 yards out. They had to review it, but ball crossed the plane. And listen, the 49ers, they had a chance. Garoppolo threw that deep pass to Emmanuel Sanders, and if you just, don't overthrow, you just hit him in the right spot. That maybe could have been a touchdown, but he overthrew him. And then the Chiefs scored another touchdown. That was with Damian Williams. That was a 38-yard touchdown run. And then Garoppolo threw a second pick, and that was it. And the Chiefs won the game. Again, a lot of the players from that game are playing in this game. Of course, Mahomes, Kelce, Chris Jones, Butker, just to name a few. And then, of course, on the other side, the 49ers got more players from that Super Bowl. You got Fred Warner and Greenlaw and Armstead, Bosa, Kittle, Debo. They were all there for that. Juszczyk. Am I missing anybody else? I think that's... Yeah, well, it's... Again, in total, a lot of players from that Super Bowl are going to be playing in this game. So, it's going to be interesting. But, obviously the 3rd and 15 play that Mahomes had to connecting with Tyreek Hill, that's obviously... obviously it's not as big as like the helmet catch or, some of these, some of the other plays you could think of in the Super Bowl. Well, obviously I of course think of the helmet catch just because being a Giant fan, but still it's a memorable play. And then they added the play in Madden. Now obviously the Chiefs can't run that play anymore. They could try, but it's not going to be the same because you don't have Tyreek Hill anymore. But yeah, it's crazy how that was, that was 4 years ago, and now 4 years later, these teams meet again. Obviously, Brock Purdy is now the quarterback, so it's gonna be different. It's gonna be different, and let's not forget, you also got Christian McCaffrey, who is the best running back in the NFL. And obviously, what's being talked about is, the Chiefs' defense being a little vulnerable to the run, which is something that, the 49ers can maybe exploit because you got Christian McCaffrey. And I did talk about the matchup from last year. McCaffrey really didn't have a big impact, but that's just because the 49ers literally just acquired him from the Panthers, so they wanted him to obviously get acclimated. So, and McCaffrey, of course, has had a great postseason. He's a touchdown machine. It's just automatic that he's going to score a touchdown, every week. It's rare that he doesn't score a touchdown. They kept him in against Jacksonville earlier in the season. They put Darnold in. They were trying to get him to score the touchdown to keep the streak going. So, like we look at the stats from, 4 years ago. The 49ers, with McCaffrey, they're going to run the ball. They are going to. Now, the thing with them is they cannot fall behind in this game. And now I know they fell behind against the Packers, against the Lions, but against the Chiefs, I don't think you're going to be able to come back if you fall behind against them. So it's very important that the 49ers, they, control the game. Maybe they get the ball first, they go right down the field, they get a touchdown, set the tone for this game. I don't think you're not going to rattle the Chiefs, but at least make them answer, if you go down and score. If you, again, depending on who starts the game. But you're not gonna see a Wasp play. Obviously, now the Chiefs got Isaiah Pacheco and Clyde Edwards-Helaire running the football, and Pacheco especially has done a great job. You still got to deal with Kelce, So, we'll see what they do. Maybe don't leave him wide open like the Ravens were doing at certain points during the game. I just don't get it. Travis Kelce is the best weapon on the field, besides Patrick Mahomes. Why is he wide open? Let somebody else beat you. I don't know. We'll see. But, for me, obviously I think they'll look at, I think the 49ers are going to look at the tape from that Super Bowl, from this Super Bowl 54. They're obviously going to look at the tape from last year, when they played. Because Mahomes shredded that defense. I mean, he threw for over 400 yards, I think, in the game when I talked about it the other day. And, again, the 49ers, your back end is not that good. Even though, again, you got to get pressure on Mahomes. If they're not able to do that, and I mean, even when saying that, Mahomes can get out of the pocket and move around, but I don't know. They got to figure out something. Now, again, they got 2 weeks to prepare, but again, Mahomes has time to throw. Now, obviously, the receivers have to catch the ball too. The receivers are dropping passes, then it doesn't matter. But the back end is a problem, and the 49ers got to get pressure. They're going to have to get pressure and get to Mahomes. I mean, the Ravens finally did late in the game, in the championship game on Sunday. Niners are going to have to do that. And they, on the telecast for the NFC Championship game, Kevin Burkhardt was saying how, the pass rush hasn't really been getting home as much. And it's really puzzling because you look at their defensive line and you're like, their front seven, how are they not getting pressure? I know people are talking about Chase Young, how he really has not. Like, there was a stat that was posted I saw on Instagram of, like, what the 49ers, have done since they acquired Chase Young. But all the comments are like, Chase Young has done nothing. And if you look at the Jahmyr Gibbs rushing touchdown, if you look at that play, people are talking about the lack of effort on that play by Chase Young. He just let Jahmyr Gibbs go right by him and score the touchdown. So, but yeah, I mean, you figure with Bosa and Armstead and Chase Young, but again, what I just talked about, that they would get home, but it's just that hasn't been the case. So, we'll see. It's gonna be there's gonna a lot of pressure on. Also, you look at Brock Purdy as well because, obviously he's got people criticizing him every single week. Being carried by his team and listen. I understand it. But you know what? Brock Purdy, I'll say this, Brock Purdy could have easily folded when they were down 24-7. Now, again, a lot of things happened where they kind of were helped out, like Gibbs fumbling, but, Brock Purdy could have easily folded. And he didn't. They were down 24-7, and you know what? They came back, and, now they're playing in the Super Bowl. So, I don't think the moment is too big for him. I hope he plays well. But the thing is, he's going up against a tough defense. Like, that's the other thing, too. I mean, the Chiefs' defense from Super Bowl 54 to now, different. It's better. I mean, you still got the same coordinator. Chris Jones is still there. But it's a better defense. So, we'll see what happens. But with that, that is pretty much it for the show for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we'll be back again tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm Kenneth Grunfelder signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.